Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad to see you here at Amplify, AutoLeap's Amplify this year, 2025. Uh, we are here. It's about 2:30 Eastern, wherever you're joining from. It could be a different time. Who knows? But just to get started, a little housekeeping. We will do a Q&A session at the end. Certainly, you could chat all those in. Just send them in through the chat if you have any specific questions. We'll absolutely be able to get your questions answered, and if not for whatever reason, we will absolutely go through and we'll email you answers, whatnot. Leave us your email address. We'll absolutely be able to answer any questions. What we'll be working with today is objections. This time of year, this time of just now, it seems that we've been getting more objections across our industry a lot more. And so what we really wanted to do was come to you with a practical look at overcoming objections. This is a shortened version, so we're going to kind of skip through some stuff. Maybe not skip through, but we're definitely going to be going faster than I than I normally would through this workshop. My name is Mark Sewell. I am from the Institute for Automotive Business Excellence, and I'm the advisor program director. My jam is making sales. That's what I do. That's what I love, and I'll be happy to take you on the next hour journey of your ride through sales excellence. So I'm gonna get started here. The first thing that most of us think about whenever we get a no, we get an objection to something, is that objections are the plague. Somebody just told us no. It breaks us. Uh, we what goes through our head is we're like, was that really a no? Did they really just mean no right now? Did I really qualify them right? How do I keep the door open to this presentation? Did they just not like me? Did they not like the shop? Was it too expensive? What went wrong? What did I do? What we really should be asking is, what could I have done differently? And more importantly to that, what can I still do today to turn this around? I want to know, was that really a no? We do have a full day workshop on this. I do want to tell you that, and I've got so much more to talk about that I would normally just talk about right now, but I'm going to keep going. So we're going to break down objections into two categories: tangible objections and intangible objections. And so when we do that, I'm going to break those out and I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. First, when I say objections are opportunities, they absolutely are. Most of your objections that you're going to get are going to come from that intangible reason, meaning tangibles that there's something hard in between you and the yes. Intangible is typically you didn't do something right, where you didn't help the customer to make a good decision, which was, of course, get what you had done. Objections, when somebody does tell us no, it was a fake no, is really an opportunity for us to provide a customized solution for a customer. Maybe to give them for us to better understand our clients and for them to better understand us. Objections help us figure out if we have buyer's remorse and really to guard against it. All those bad Google reviews that you get are because of buyer's remorse. And if we push somebody into that yes and we don't handle the objection properly, you'll get a bad review. You know, objections give us this crazy opportunity to learn and grow as communicators and as salespeople. We become better simply from having objections. And in a few slides, I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Uh, Objections give us variety. We get to have a different day every day simply because somebody threw us a curveball. The curveballs are what makes life really, really fun. Lastly, objections. When every time I overcome an objection, I get this sense of pride, this overwhelming sense that I did something right. I won. I really like winning. Winning is a big deal for me. And when I get an objection, it's like losing, and I really like winning when I overcome that objection because it really that tastes so much sweeter when I overcome that objection. So if I'm thinking about objections though, I have to break it down. I have to go through and I have to understand what is it? What's the reason why people decide to say yes to me? And what's the reason why people decide to say no to me? And again, we're still talking about the intangible. In fact, most of this whole workshop is going to be talking about the intangible because what that is it's compelling that customer, your guest in your shop to tell you yes. It's compelling them to agree with you that the vehicle needs to be repaired. So people buy for all kinds of different reasons, and it's the same reasons that they don't buy. I need to make sure I figure out what it is that generates the yes or generates the no, and I need to figure out how to do that so it always generates the yes. You might be wondering why there's a, a big glass jar of peppermints, and that's because, see, I have this thing. I didn't come up with a lot of stuff in my life. Most of it I borrowed from somebody else, and I regurgitate it to anybody that I teach stuff to. Uh, this concept I came up with. So I'm kind of proud of it. We're going to talk about it a lot. I talk about it just about all the time. I mean, I think every day I've said something about mint because I'm that proud of it. I hope you will be too. And if you're only getting one thing out of this whole workshop, I hope it's mint. So mint is a framework that people decide to purchase. Really, it's like a pyramid. It's not, most of the time when we talk about acronyms to things, we think about the first letter first. In this case, we're gonna think about the last letter first. So what happens is we have a foundation of trust. If you don't have trust with the customer, if the customer doesn't trust you, the shop, the repair, your words, anything, if you haven't built that trust up, you're not going to make a sale. Everything starts with trust. You cannot go further until you build up enough trust for the customer to allow you to go further. Because the next thing, the customer has to understand the need, which means they have to allow you to educate them. So that trust that you did your due diligence to build up, whether it was through communication or whether it was through consistency, you built that trust. So that way you can prove to the customer that they need something. And we typically do that through education, so that way they understand it. They get why it works, how it works, all the different nuances that go into the repair, what's involved in the repair. We have to talk about everything that's there so they understand the need. Mostly what's broken and how they need to fix it. But it goes a little deeper. It isn't just understanding the need, it's understanding the immediacy. And really, how that ends up working is the consequence. This is where we talk to the customer and we are talking all about the consequence. We're talking about the why that they need to do something. Because it isn't just, okay, I'm going to trust you. Yep, I understand that I need it, but I have to understand that I need it today. I can't make the decision to need it tomorrow. Because if you need it tomorrow, they're not going to get it done today. And that's what our goal is to get it done, to make that sale today, to close that today. This is a closing success strategy. The last thing to very at the very top of our pyramid is the exchange of value. And it isn't just the exchange of value, but it's the exchange of value for their money. They have something of value, they have money, we have something of value, their repaired vehicle. And really, it's about what it is that makes those repairs. We're going to get a little deeper into that, just touch on it more today, but we're going to talk about some value later about how that works because it's one of the most key components of Mint. So I'll say it again. Trust needs immediacy, money, or value. And how this all works together is the customer has to trust you. They have to believe that they need it. They have to believe that they need it today, and they have to believe that it's worth it. This works with everything that you buy, and you'll find this. You can use this analogy with everything. Whether you bought something at the corner store and it was a commodity item, or whether somebody was in your shop buying automotive repairs. This is the reason why people make a decision in their head, intangibly, to say yes or no, if you satisfy these things. Now, here's what happens. When we are talking to a customer, we have to satisfy Mint. All of those four things. Trust, needs, immediacy, and value all has to be satisfied. Because if it isn't, what ends up happening is when the customer is making a decision, they start asking a quiet question. And the reason that they're called quiet questions is because these are questions that aren't typically shared with you. This is a question that they make in their head. This is a question that as they're talking to themselves. This is like, remember those cartoons that we used to see back in the day with Bugs Bunny on one shoulder and Bugs Bunny on, the angel and the devil on each shoulder? Well, that's what this is. We got the little devil that's there saying things, saying all the negative things out loud. They just want to sell you that. You don't really need that. You could probably get by with something else. It doesn't have to be that expensive. Those are all the quiet questions that people hear. And when you say all the right things that you're supposed to say inside of Mint and you satisfy everything about trust, needs, immediacy, and value, you eliminate those quiet questions. The devil's in the details, and it's our job to make answers, not make questions. So here's the thing. While we're making answers and not making questions, if we don't set proper expectations, the customer's going to set them all by themselves. And again, if I'm trying to make trust, I need to set some expectations, some ground rules as to how things are going to go, some things that I can do. Because what happens all the time is the customer, they have their own expectations about things, however they might perceive it. They might perceive about price. They might perceive value or difficulty or process, how you do something. They might even sometimes not even have the right answers about things. I mean, have you ever had a customer that you're talking about the cooling system and they're sure that you're talking about the air conditioning and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. My air conditioning works great. But you're talking about a component in the cooling system that's malfunctioning. People have these things that happen inside their brain because it's the way that they perceive things. And it all has to do with whatever their education level is on things sometimes, but also if you are not setting an expectation of what a price should be or a value should be or the specific amount of difficulty for it or even what's involved in the process, they don't know what they're buying. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't set the expectation, the customer's gonna have it all by themselves. So you better set it every single time. Obviously, this is, where everything we've been talking about so far happens way before the customer even gets the opportunity to tell us no yet. We're in the process of of writing our sale and making our sales presentation. Man, I'm seeing so many people out there saying hi to me. Nice to see everybody that I see. Um, so I want to talk about value a little bit. The way that value works is it actually works hand in hand with price. Everything that we sell is attached to value and price. People make this decision. It's a value-based decision in their brain if they're going to buy it. And what happens is if you are the one that's not talking about the value when you're doing things. The only differentiating factor is price. And I'm here to tell you, someone's going to have a cheaper price than you. I don't care if you believe that you're the cheapest price in town, someone's going to be cheaper. There's always going to be somebody cheaper. I would never ask you to go race to the bottom because racing to the bottom, it's a losing battle for everybody. So remember, when you are offering a service, you must talk about the value. Otherwise, the only thing that you have to compare with is price. It's very important. In fact, I mean, if you listen to Warren Buffett, one of the smartest money guys on the planet, he always says price is what you pay and value is what you get. And that it rings very true. It's very important for us to understand that the way that the customer sees things isn't like this. They don't see that they have a pile of money in their pocket, some gold in their pocket, and it's equal to the value of their vehicle. They don't see that. What they see is that they worked very hard for their money. They worked very hard for that, and they already own their vehicle, and they're trying to repair it. And they're trying to spend as little as possible on it. And sometimes they don't always understand everything that's involved. Our sales strategy has to be value added. If you're going to be selling at all, anything, it has to be value added. Most of that, we have to figure out what it is that's valuable to somebody. We have to understand that. And it's through all sorts of different things that we're going to use to answer questions for customers. We're going to absolutely have to know things about the customer. When we first check them in the morning, we're going to have to ask them all the right questions. We're going to have some open-ended questions that are the right things, not only open-ended questions like who's driving the vehicle and where do you drive the vehicle and how do you make the problem happen and diagnostic type questions, but also I want to know stuff about the people. I want to have relational questions. Your open-ended questions are how you're going to get this information. If you're going to make value, you're going to ask a bunch of open-ended questions. And these open-ended questions, they're for diagnostics, so that way you can help to try to figure out whatever the problem is. So that way you can give all the information to the technical team, what they need to know, but you're also going to ask form questions. Form questions are relational questions. So diagnostic questions, we all know what that is. When does it happen? How do you make that happen? Where does that happen? Where do you hear that from? Is this every morning? Is this in the evening? Is this when the engine's warm? You're asking all types of different questions that are typically who, what, when, where, and why, so that way you can get the customer to start talking. So then that way they can give you some information. But I got this other thing going on here. Family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. That's what these form questions are. These form questions, people love talking about their family. People absolutely love talking about what they do for an occupation, what they do for work. People love telling you what they do for fun, for their recreation. Just so you know, recreational vehicles, RVs, stand for ruined vacation. Every time you see one of them things come in your shop, people's got a ruined vacation. Uh, and an M, that's for motivation. What is going to motivate that customer to like what are they doing with the vehicle? What's their motivation? Am I keeping this vehicle forever? Am I not keeping this vehicle forever? Is this a vehicle that we're going to do lots of repairs? Somebody said, "Haven't I seen Breaking Bad?" And I haven't. I'm sorry. Um, so, anyways, the whole everything all about it is, if I'm trying to make relationships with people, they want to talk about their family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. And if they're going to object, these are the emotional reasons why people will tell you yes. Because most of the time they'll make an illogical decision to say no, and it'll be like, "Yeah, I don't want to fix my car." And you're like, "Wait a second. I thought you told me you drive this car to work every day. What are you going to drive to work? I thought you said you were going on vacation and taking a road trip. Do you have a different vehicle?" People sometimes forget about the logic when they make an emotional decision to say no. They get emotionally attached to their dollars, or they get emotionally attached to something. Maybe anything. Sometimes the opening back up is just that. It's to understand what your relational things were. So, I want to talk about value proposition. Now that we understood, we asked a little bit of questions here and there. I want to talk about how we're going to set up a value proposition. What's a value proposition, you ask? Well, it's a compelling statement or group of statements that help your audience make the right decision to purchase. And by the way, your value proposition, you might want to have two or three or four different things about the same item that you're going to make a sale on. Because what you think is the right value proposition to your client, your customer, your guest, it isn't always the same value proposition. So you might need to have a couple of different extra value propositions ready just in case. Because what's compelling to one customer might not be compelling to another customer. So you need to get really, really good at writing value propositions so that way they work in your head all the time. Value propositions are going to help you close the gap to making the sale and not making the sale. Why it works, why it doesn't work. This, what a value proposition is. This is that when the waiter comes to you in the upscale restaurant and they start talking about the chef's special today. This is what makes you enticed to want to purchase it. So we're going to talk about how you craft this because I'm kind of a nuts and bolts guy. I like to see things that are big picture items and then take them down into the nuts and bolts, unscrew every little nut and bolt out of there, and then figure out what makes it work. And so when I'm trying to make a value proposition, it's broken down into three categories. FAB. That's why I called it a fabulous value proposition. Because how that works out, it's a feature, an advantage, and a benefit all baked into one. A feature is, of course, what it is, what it does, what it is, what makes it needed, all of that. By the way, this is how most people try to sell, and they don't even think about talking about the advantages or the benefits, and they screw the whole thing up. The advantages, those are the things that make it better than your competition. These are the things that make it unique. In fact, many people call the advantage statement a unique selling proposition because it's the thing about your shop that makes it different. And then the benefit is, of course, what it does for the customer. What what's it do for me lately? What do you do for me lately? Features, advantages, and benefits. This is how it all works. Everything that has the features, advantages, and benefits baked in makes a very good value proposition. Let me show you just a little bit. I'm going to break down the features, advantages, and benefits and show you how that looks. People do this all the time, and they go and they read all the notes on the side of the box of the component that they're installing, and that's all they talk about. And then they forget that the customer doesn't understand what it's all about. Granted, they have to know these things because it supports all the details. But what I'll tell you is that The truth in everything is while you need all this information, people buy the advantages and the benefits. The features are just the fluff. That's just what it is. So they understand what it is that they're buying. So obviously here are some features of brake pads, right? We've got ceramic grade friction material, chamfered edge and slotted surface and heat resistance, multi-layered shim and cross-drilled and slotted rotors maybe or coated rotors. Designed for the track and safe for the road. I don't even know what the hell that means. but I read it on the side of a box. Um, Designed for the track and safe for the road. But it's a feature, right? It's a selling point of whatever that component is. And you know, you need all these things. This is really the only thing that's variable throughout most of your USPs. Or I'm sorry, throughout most of your value propositions. It's mostly the only thing that's really variable. The only thing that changes throughout the whole process. The the next thing, the A, is the advantages. This is your unique selling proposition. These are your advantage statements. This is why should people do business with you? In fact, if you want to do yourself a huge favor, I tell everybody that I start working with. I work with a lot of advisors. And I've probably over the years I've probably worked with, oh, I don't know, probably not yet 100,000 advisors, but a lot. And the thing is that most of the time people don't know why somebody should do business with us. They don't know what makes you unique. I know what makes everything unique about wherever I might go. If I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A, right? You know, everybody loves Chick-fil-A. They sell chicken and they don't screw up your order. That's what makes them unique and special. And they say, my pleasure. If you want good ice cream that's at a fast food joint, you might go to Dairy Queen. Um, that's what makes them unique. That's what makes them different. McDonald's sells ice cream and McDonald's sells chicken sandwiches, but I would prefer to go to the other two places, right? That's what makes part of their structure unique. What makes your shop unique? I would bet that you haven't sat down and thought about that. And if you have, good job. I'm glad that you have. Most of the time, when you come up with these statements, these advantage statements, they all have to do with the people that are in your shop, the processes that your shop has because of the people, because either the people in the shop have come up with the processes or the people in the shop have been trained to do those specific processes. And what ends up happening is you take the component that was the ceramic grade friction material, chamfered edge, slotted surface, and you then decided that those products are special and different because you have a process to install them with special people that have been trained to do it and know how to do it and are unique to your shop. So when you do this, now you are making a unique product that happens just at your shop. And then we want to stick the cherry on the top of the ice cream, right? Here's how it works. Benefits and consequences. These are the why that everybody needs to hear when they are when they're making sales. This is everything that your customer wants to hear. They want to hear it either saves them time, saves them money, saves them aggravation, keeps them safe. Maybe it keeps their vehicle reliable so that way they have it. The consequence, depending on how you're selling it, when you're selling it, sometimes it takes away your time if you don't get it done. It takes away your money if you don't get it done because it's going to cost more if you wait. Actually, right now we have a situation where the whole buzzword is tariff, and I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. If I'm trying to sell something, I'm gonna pick everything that I can do to sell something. And the reality of it is that it might be more difficult to get components in your shop. You need to create some more immediacy somewhere. This is a great place to do it. Hey, it's going to cost more because Right now, the tariffs haven't hit this particular thing and it hasn't gone up yet. I know everybody's been talking about it. Or maybe I won't be able to get these parts anymore. Remember 2020 when we had all those shortages of components? And Ford had thousands of trucks sitting in a field without modules in it because they couldn't get them. What if that happens again? Then, then your vehicle will be sitting here. We don't want that. I'm gonna talk about a consequence that makes sense for the customer to hear. It's gonna take you time. It's gonna take money away from you. It's gonna cost you more. Maybe it's gonna maybe it's gonna cause you some level of aggravation. Maybe maybe it's gonna expose you to risk. Or maybe there's going to be uncertainty, and no one likes uncertainty. Everybody likes to be able to anticipate whatever their next move is. Nobody likes to just run through the fields. Not when you're talking about your car. So write these down. These are the five things. The five, just unless you have like a speaker shop or a detail shop or a body shop where you put on special things. These are the reasons that people come in and have the why that happens in your shop. Money, time, aggravation, safety, and reliability. So our value proposition, here's what it looks like all in total. I'll leave this up so people can take a screenshot, but it's what it is, what it does, how does it do it, and really why it's needed. What people make it special and unique, what processes make the service special and unique, and how does that equate to a whole different product? And of course, keep you safe, keep you reliable, make sure that we're saving money, time, and aggravation. So here's how this sounds in practice. Your ceramic friction material with that chamfered edge has a multi-layered shim package that, of course, is installed by our certified technicians that are specially trained in our processes to make sure that we perform this service to the absolute specifications of not only the manufacturer but also us. The whole reason that we go through all these extra steps is because I want to keep you safe. I want to keep your vehicle reliable, and ultimately, I want to save you money and time, and keeping you free of aggravation at the same time. You can make a compelling argument out of all of these, and what's interesting is that the advantages and the benefits almost always stay the same. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of uh, uh, influence or inflection on some of the different components inside of it because somebody has a different buzzword, but whatever, that's okay. The whole point of it is that I want to make sure that everybody can go and have a good value proposition because you either need it when you're making the sale or later when you have to go back and remake the sale. Hope that all makes sense to you. So I have 6 special and simple rules that I want to talk about just for your objections. So everyone gets 2 chances, maybe even as many as 4 chances to say no. I want to make sure that all of my clients out there, I'm doing the right thing for them if I don't just take their first no and leave it. You have to have that tenacity to go after that at least one more time for that customer to say no to you if they've said no to you the first time. Hopefully we can convince them to say yes. Rule number 2, most objections can be overcome. Most of the objections that you are going to deal with, they are intangible, and typically they happen because you didn't answer the question beforehand. Now, people will give you all kinds of weird reasons, and they might use tangible answers, but in reality, Most of them are going to be an intangible reason. I have this problem. This is me. When somebody tells me something I don't want to hear, I have this problem. It happens to me all the time. I want what I want, and I want what I want right now. I have to remember that when somebody objects, it's okay. I'm never going to get them to come over to my side of the fence unless I keep my cool. I have to make sure that everything that I do and say, it's like, oh, it's cool. I'm cool as a cucumber. And it really sucks sometimes. You put together this whole big elaborate presentation. It's perfect. You have everything together, and then your customer says, "Nah, I'll get it done next time." And you have to keep your cool because sometimes people lie. Sometimes people are lying to you about whatever that might be. That's okay. It's okay. That's a defense mechanism that lots of people use. We just have to understand when it's happening to us. That's the big thing. That's right. Um, the next thing, and this is also I this wasn't one of the original rules that I came up with, but I had to remember because again, with me with the smoke coming out of my ears, sometimes you just gotta be okay with losing. It isn't normal. I don't like losing. In fact, I actually I think I dislike losing more than I like winning, if that makes sense. I'm that competitive that I would it's actually worse for me to lose than it is to have not won. I don't know. It's the way that my brain works because I'm one of those super competitive people. I like to win at everything, but it's worse. I don't know. Sometimes you lose. And sometimes you're just not going to make the sale. Nobody has a 100% close rate. I'm pretty good. I don't have a 100% close rate because there's a lot of variables that happen. That's okay. Move on. You have to be able to put your chin up and buck up, Buttercup. Your next thing is you have to be the unrelenting advocate, and I'm going to take a couple extra seconds here just to talk about it. The unrelenting advocate is a concept that some people are like, "Oh my gosh, Mark, I don't agree with you." I lose some people here because they don't understand what I mean. Your customer did not come to you. They did not walk into your shop and say, "Hey, you know what? That guy that works here in the auto shop, they probably should be my financial advisor." Nobody did that. They have a financial advisor for that, or they have somebody else that they trust for that. That's what that is. What they did do is they came into your shop and they said, "You know what? That person over there behind the other side of that counter, I'll bet I can trust them to tell me the right thing about my car and what I need to do to fix it." I'll bet that that's it. It's just the same thing if you take yourself, your child, your whatever into the doctor. Most people don't negotiate with the doctor. "Hey, how about I know you said that I need a cast for this broken arm. How about we just go get a couple of sticks from the outside and then duct tape it to it and we just wait for it to heal that way." Nobody does that. Be the advocate for the vehicle. That's what your customer hired you to do. Was advocate for the vehicle. Be the advocate for the vehicle. Your customer did not come to you and say, "Please look out for my bank account." The customer did not come to you and say, "Please look out for me," with the respect of your. I mean, they do believe if they're going to come in, you're going to treat them right, and if you don't treat them right, I'll find you. But you're supposed to treat them right, right? You're not lying to them. You're being good character. You have everything that you're supposed to do to be a good person. I don't want you coming up with garbage for people. But if it's the truth, it's the truth. So many people let people off the hook. So many advisors let people off the hook when something is needed on their vehicle. Thanks, Jimmy. That's the words I was looking for. I want you to be a person of integrity. Um, Jimmy Lee, everybody. Um, I do want you to be a person of integrity because what that's all about is you're supposed to be the right person. The unrelenting advocate for the vehicle. For the vehicle. Uh, so here's how that all looks is the six rules. Sometimes people want to take a screenshot or something of it. I'll leave it real quick. Three, two, one, and it's gone. Um, you have to be a good storyteller. And the only reason I even left this in is because so many times we just don't tell the right story throughout the process. And that's what screws it all up. That's what makes the quiet questions. And that's what makes you lose your sale is because you didn't tell a good story. Every good story has clear structure, compelling characters. There has to be some level of a conflict. It has to have the right setting. There has to be a theme. The story has to have a specific pace. You have to engage their emotions. You have to have good vocal tone. You have to have a good resolution where you solve the problem and it makes an impact to their life. And when you don't make these uh, these these steps inside of the storytelling, if you don't engage the customer, you're not going to make the sale. Let me give you an example. Every time that I would sell ball joints, as long as it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it just started wearing yesterday. Um, but if it had any level of movement, and there aren't any manufacturers out there anymore that tell you that, thank you, that tell you that there's any allowable movement in any ball joint. So I would always tell somebody if I was describing to them, "Hey, have you ever driven by a car that's on the side of the road and one wheel went left and one wheel went right, and the steering wheel probably spun out of their hand pretty quick and they stopped pretty quick, and it's always a 16-year-old kid on the cell phone trying to get in touch with mom or dad for a tow truck." Well, that's what happens when a ball joint fails. Just so you know, this is my company car. It's a 95 Honda Accord, uh, 314,000 miles on it. It's not, but all right. So here's here's the level, right? We're gonna get right to it. After you have made your presentation and you've given somebody the price, now you're waiting for the answer. You're gonna get one of four answers. You're gonna get a good yes, good no, or bad no. A good yes is exactly what you want. You made a great presentation. Everything went out just perfectly. The customer said, "That sounds great." The way that you figure out that it was a good yes is it sounded like somebody just did a cartwheel, planted it, arms up in the air, and said, "Do it." A bad yes, if you're a good service advisor, you will recognize when the customer says, "Well, I guess, all right, let's go ahead and get it done," that you might have to go back and ask them about that. Don't be tempted to move forward. A good no normally sounds like somebody has a tangible objection. The good no is exactly that. It's somebody's like, "Well, I'll get it done next time," or "Yeah, I just don't have the money this time." They're trying to let you down easy. Remember, customers lie, people lie, and a bad no is pretty easy to spot too. That's typically somebody's like, "Yeah, just park it." Typically, what happened is you really screwed up on Mint. And really what happened is you actually started to go through the sale without making the trust. It's almost always character and competency. If you come to the all day class, we do a way deeper dive into all of those things and how to manage them. But I've been told several times Don't go over time. So we're gonna go and we're gonna push it through. I want to give you a strategy. I told you I was gonna give you some nuts and bolts ideas. Here's the strategy. The first thing that we want to do is I need to secure some level of empathy from the customer. If they just told me no about something, I need to use the CAR strategy. CAR. Confusion, apologize, revisit Mint. Remember, Mint is the reason why everybody makes it a tangible decision, or I'm sorry, an intangible decision. So I'm going to be confused. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm just a bit. Can you help me? You know what didn't make sense to you? So I'm going to sound confused. I'm going to apologize that I must have done something wrong. I didn't explain it right. And then I'm going to ask them what exactly it was that they didn't like. You wouldn't believe how many times you just get the right answer right there. Confusion, apologize, go back and revisit Mint. Ask them that question to go back and revisit. What'll end up happening is you will get either a tangible or an intangible response. Many times, again, people will lie to you. Remember that. That if it's tangible, it's money, time, and motivation, right? If it is truly a tangible response, it's gonna be like, oh, I don't have the time, and we have to do something to offer maybe the availability of another spot for them, something that's convenient, maybe a loaner vehicle, a rental vehicle, maybe a ride somewhere. If it's a financial thing, figure out a budget, figure out a repair plan, maybe have financing options. You can suggest options. Don't modify the price unless you're going to modify the value. So don't just change the price for somebody. Take something off the invoice that they're not going to get. And then sometimes they might say, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of that car. You have to get to the why. You have to ask them why they would. We have to get in there, ask them some questions. That way you can come up with the right answer. Now, remember, most people, money, immediacy, needs, and trust are in the intangible zone. And so I'm going to still, even though they may have told me that it's a tangible reason, I'm still going to go and push on like it was a tangible. Now, again, this is after I've already asked them the question and they've told me pretty much that it is a tangible. I'm going down to the next level and I'm going to do my ignore and override. I'm going to say, gosh, I know, but I totally agree, but how about? Or what if what if we did this instead? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push consequence selling. I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, gosh, I know, but how are you going to get to work? Consequence. Agreed, but I thought you said your daughter drives this car. Or what if we yeah, I don't know how we could do it any different. We just, it's a good idea to get this taken care of because I mean, we want your vehicle to be safe, right? This is consequence selling when we get to ignore and override. Now, the last thing, if they've already said no to you on all of these things, the very last loop that you're going to run through is this is the confirmation. This is the confirmation. So what it is, it's like, okay, so just so we're all clear, we are going to do this and not going to do that. We are going to do this and not going to do that. We are going to do this and we're not going to do that. And we're not going to do that? Okay. Are you sure? Again? Oh, all right. So that's the confirmation. I'm going to make sure that I'm speaking in a disapproving tone to the customer so they can hear it, and then we zip on through to the confident close after that. So as promised, I give you some time to ask some questions, and that's where we're at. By the way, right here on the screen, my email's on there, mark at wearetheinstitute.com. It's a mouthful. It's all spelled all out in one word. You can reach me there anytime. If you had any questions and we don't have time for them today, please reach out. I'll absolutely do my best to help you. Um, that there is my cell number, 330-532-8209. I even take calls and text messages too. So, but let's if I can figure out how to unshare my screen. I think I did. Look at that. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. I'm just trying to read the chats right now if there's anything in there. Any questions, comments, Q&A? Oh, here we go. So we have one. What are some good scripts when a customer says no? Okay. Another one is, can Mark go over his redirects again? I was trying to write those down. All right, so redirects. When I think the redirects, what you were talking about is when we're talking about, I know, but so these are the yes, okay, perfect. So when I'm saying things like that, right? So I want to redirect the customer back into what it is. They've just said no, and I go, okay, I totally understand, but what about? And we're going to use all of the things that we've already learned about them that are going to be why type answers, like the consequence type things. And so this is what's called this is called consequence selling. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about consequences for whatever it is. And so it's I'm going to agree with you on something, and you could make up all your own. I'm going to agree with you, and then after that, I'm gonna spin that into a redirection, and I'm gonna then ask a question. So I totally understand that. But what about, all right, I you know what I completely I get where you're coming from. But um we have this to happen or that to happen. So I will tell you what, I'm getting told that they got another session to go through. I hope you do enjoy your time here at Amplify. Um, we love working with Amplify at the Institute, and or working with AutoLeap at the Institute. This Amplify event that they put on is so awesome. It's great for our industry. I love seeing all the shining and smiling faces out there. If you do have any questions for me, again, Mark at We Are the Institute. That is my email address, mark at wearetheinstitute.com. I'll be happy to answer anything for you. I do work with advisors, and I'd love to work with you or yours. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you.